Hey everyone, my name is Titanic, and welcome to a very special episode of Titancraft Season 10. Or, more realistically, today is just a general episode of Titancraft, because today we are celebrating the 6th anniversary of the group, which is mind-boggling. I mean, 6 entire years. If you would have asked the 12-year-old me that began this group 6 years ago how long this project would last, I would have probably guessed 1, 2, 3, 4 years at best. Never did I expect this to go so long and be so successful. And so here we are today to look back at our journey through the last 6 years and through our 10 season run. Now, I know it's season 10 winding down and not quite complete. It's a little bit early, but we're going to run through a brief recap today of all 10 seasons, and we'll end it off on the Season 10 server to give a proper, I guess, celebration moment to the anniversary before we move on and try to finish up another season as well. Now, I'm sitting here today in a plains that probably looks vaguely familiar to long-running fans of the group and long-running members. This is the Season 1 seed. The twist is that I loaded it up in Minecraft 1.17, and so this is actually the last major Minecraft version that the biome map is staying the same. I know since at least Minecraft 1.8, which is the version we began Season 1 on, and I maybe even back to 1.7, Minecraft has used the same seed biome layout. And so the world gen has hardly changed. And 1.18 is going to completely overhaul everything and change everything to be just completely different. But this isn't very different. But some things that have changed is that we now have Mega Ravine, which was added sometime between 1.10 and 1.17. I know, actually, I think as of 1.12 it's still generated without, so somewhere in like the last 4 major versions. Let's see what else is different around here. I guess in the original seed it was right in, let's see, where was it? Is my little hidey hole cave covered up now? It was like down here where there's like a little cave that I had my original hidey hole in season 1. Which was spectacular. And over here we had my starter house. I mean, another thing that's dramatically different, and that's because of 1.14, is there's a Pillager Outpost where I believe where ships set up camp. Or where ship and log in both. I want to actually see where this goes. I mean, it's so weird to see the same blank world 6 years later, just with new features. I mean, it's humbling. And it's really special for that reason to look back at this after so long. And that's why I figured we'd start here. Yeah, in the original world, this is where Login had like a few little basic farms. I think Login and Ship on one of these hills had their starter area, and Ship had his main area over there. Oh, it was something. Oh, hi pillagers. Okay. But yeah, what a unique area. It's a lot different than it was back then, and so that's why I decided, let's start with the blank slate we began with 6 years ago. I mean, honestly, a lot has changed. I think one of my favorite things is just how my voice evolution has occurred between switching mics and obviously my voice just deepening. And, I mean, I was a squeaker when I did the first episode of the series, and now we're on episode 991, I believe. And that's just remarkable. The end is near. I certainly never would have saw a 1,000 episode run.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new series, a new beginning with a bunch of friends. Hello everyone. Welcome to Titancraft everyone.
So here we are in the actual Season 1 map as it ended, where we finalized that. And honestly, this is still to this day one of my favorite seasons and one of my favorite Titancraft maps. I mean, I think it's not quite as good as I remember it being in terms of map. Oh god, lag. Please don't do this to me. But, I mean, the gazebo has been a reoccurring theme across all of the seasons, trying to always reference back to this. I mean, we have my great big house up here. It's just something. It's also iconic. I have my awesome little pet house down here if you've never seen it. I mean, honestly, I've done a lot of stuff throwing back to Season 1. And the last Titancraft anniversary for the 5th anniversary, I actually, publicly released the map, and I also went ahead and I did a montage of Season 1, and I took a bunch of the modern tie-ins into this map, and we explored it a year ago. So if you haven't seen that, I'd highly recommend going and checking that out. Eventually we'll do that for the other Titancraft seasons. It's just been a busy year. Let's undo Kai's little thing here. I think one of the unique things about Season 1 is we were a little bit more willing to kind of bend the rules, and so there's some obvious things that I'll show in a second, but I just want to show off here. This is where I had my very first hidey hole of the entire series. I mean, yeah, there's a sign from login. But that's kind of special in my opinion. I mean, this is where it truly all began years ago. I mean, here's my horse. Yeah, loyal horse. But if we just go over here quickly, I just want to show this off because it's always fun. We had command blocks, which was really fun to get around. And we've gotten so much more strictly survival since then, though I haven't allowed this kind of stuff since Season 1, but I would love to do something like this again, because let's see, I think to Farmtown. Where does this take us? I want to go see Farmtown, because that's one of the most iconic places of Season 1, and then we'll move on. Okay, this is one of my favorite builds to this day. I mean, of all of my Season 1 builds, probably my best one is right here, and I love this thing so much. This little nether portal area, and I want to replicate that yet on Season 10, but, oh, the Guardian spawner. I think that was a Christmas gift, but, here's our giant mob mob farms. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm tired. But I love these things. I spent so much time designing them. I'll go up in the sheep. We'll just choose one and call it good. But this was one of my favorite things of Season 1, and probably my biggest project of Season 1, which was interesting, I guess. But yeah, this is a concept I really wanted to bring back for Season 10, but I just didn't have the time. I mean, there are so many things to see. If I would have been able to play Minecraft more, and I would have had more time to do all that in Season 10, oh my god, I would have done so much more of this. It would have been so cool. But do I have to enable cheats quickly? Yes, I do. Okay. I want to TP back to spawn quickly because I want to show off one other thing in this map that I think is really important to look at. Then we'll move on to some of the other seasons, and we'll try to go a little bit faster, but I just think amplified base, what we called it. I think this is one of the more important places to visit in the series, just because of obviously its entire significance. It's where we got our beginnings 6 years ago. I mean, Season 1 ran for, I believe, around 8 months. Honestly, a pretty solid run overall. I think it's the third. I think by raw dates, it's the third longest Titancraft season, which is honestly pretty damn good. And if we do look here, statistics, just if you're curious, I have 17 days of playtime here, and I believe that is accurate to when the season ended. I mean, obviously I've played a little bit in the map since then, but I think 17 days is basically the end point, which is funny in some ways to look at how little that is compared to some of my playtime versus like Season 5 and Season 10, but it's honestly remarkable. But yeah, if we go down here, one of the last big things I used minecarts for, I haven't, even as late as, I guess I did some stuff with minecarts in Season 5, but since then I just haven't had the need for them, and I hate the stupid lag I keep getting. It's kind of the sucky thing about loading in these worlds after so long into new versions, but yeah. Here's our first mega storage room. I think this place is just awesome. Oh, come on, don't lag on me. But never will forget this one. Definitely one of my all-time favorites, and one I always come back to for inspiration. But yeah, I'll meet you guys next in Season 2.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another season of Titancraft. Welcome to Season 2!
Well, everyone, welcome back to Titancraft Season 2, which is actually probably the most unique story of all the Titancraft seasons, because right here you are seeing an unfinished version of the Season 2 map, because the original was the original Season 2 was our first season using a server that was not Minecraft Realms. We used Realms for Season 1, and then we used it for 4 to 6, and then we haven't been back to it. But 2 and 3 were used bisect hosting, and I did not know how to download the map at the end of Season 2, and so when we blew it all up, we reset the map and permanently said goodbye to Season 2. But because of the fact that the season only lasted 2 months, from basically April to the beginning of June of 2016, and it's a world border season, I've been able to slowly but surely work on rebuilding it. We have a long way to go yet. We still have, I'm probably only like 40% of the way through rebuilding, and I haven't touched it now in the better part of a year. But eventually, we will have a completely remastered version of the Season 2 map, our little survival island. Honestly, one of my favorite places. I think this season is super special, and for a long time, it was my least favorite season just because I got burned out of it so quickly. But, in comparison to some of the others, honestly, I would say probably it's like my... at this point, I'd say it ranks like 7th, maybe even 6th. So it's in my mind, it's a pretty memorable season, actually, and definitely a place that I enjoy coming back to. And I can't wait to be able to show you guys the final map. Eventually, once I finish rebuilding this map, that is when the actual series of me taking the Titans back to old maps and releasing the old montages will resume. So you just gotta sit tight. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot to show you on Season 2. But yeah, there you go. See you in the next season.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 3 of Titancraft!
Yeah!
Here we are! Titancraft Season 3. Honestly, to this day, still one of my very favorite seasons. I think it's up there amongst the best, most memorable. Probably my 3rd favorite of all of them, and I think this map is probably so memorable because it developed so rapidly and it was so well put together at its formation that, I don't know. And it has one of the best spawn towns ever. I mean, we have our little ocean lake here. Originally this season ran from June to December of 2016. At the time the group had its first major expansion phase, actually, we went from, I believe, 5 Titans up to like 9 or 10. And that was actually, for that time, it was a huge deal. And that's where you see a lot of the long-running... That's where Chris and Gmaster got their start in the group. And so, I mean, that's a long run even for them. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'm tired, I'm sorry. But over here, we have the water cave and the lava wall that are the inspiration for my Season 10 starter house. I did a downsized version of it on Season 10, and I just modified the back portion, which on this one is very, very basic. Although even this I still like. I mean, look at this basic wall. I don't know how my... Like, back then, I thought this looked so cool, and now I look at this, I'm like, oh, there's nothing to break it up. Where are the pillars? That's kind of just shows you how you grow with time. This is where the Woodland Mansions were added in 1.11. That's when this was the season I visited Minecon and got my Minecon cape. So that was pretty special. And that's why we have the little Minecon fortress up there. And so yeah, this season definitely one of my favorites, and definitely another one that I do not want to forget. You know, before we leave Season 3, I can't forget about the big brick house, actually. Not one to skip. This is probably my first major house build of this Titancraft series. Probably my biggest base up to this point, and honestly, still one of my favorites. I guess a lot of the design at the time I thought was really, really cool, and I like a lot of it, but there are some things that, even though I think the exterior I did is phenomenal in some areas, I mean, if I back up, I absolutely love the little peak things I did over there with the windows. If I walk down here, yeah, those I think turned out super nice. Overall, I think a lot of the structure is just really, really bland, and it's kind of a big brick box. But again, I think I was 13 when I built this, so came a long way since then. But I mean, you can see this is where I actually left all my stuff from back then. You can see our little spawn town map. I don't know, I just think it's a really sweet place, and a place that I don't want to skip out in the tour here.
Hello, everyone! Welcome back to another episode. Well, actually, welcome back to the first episode. Well, just welcome to the first episode of the Titancraft Season 4. Yes, Season 4. epic! Oh my gosh, it's...
And welcome to Titancraft Season 4, everybody! This was a season that lasted from the very first day of 2017 through the end of May, basically. The actual start bounds, the start and end bounds are a little bit wonky. We actually started on Christmas Day of 2016, but we didn't release it until 2017 on YouTube, but, this is the season that is memorable for being the jungle season. And I think this season has a lot of mixed emotions. I think the group went through a really tough time during the run of Season 4. It was probably the first time where the group really faced the threat of breaking up over some pretty serious disagreements, including a major falling out between Log and I for a time. But, this season pulled through for us, and I remember it a lot more fondly than I think it actually was. But, I don't know. The first week I played of this season was just phenomenal. I think I racked up a fair bit of playtime in the season. Oh no, my game froze. Game, come back. Please. Game. Season 4 is giving me exceptional lag issues, and it was doing this too a bit ago. Can I retrieve my statistics, please? I want to show off something, but... Season 4, when I was updating the maps before I filmed, was not happy of all of them. I don't know why, but... Also, I have 1,000 levels on here. I don't remember why, but... I think at some point, I wanted to say I got to level 1,000, so I got to like level 400 by killing pigmen, and then just started giving myself XP. I don't know. I was like, again, 13, 14. I think this was my third season I passed 10 days of playtime in, but this was my first season I racked up a really substantial no-death streak. And that was, at the time, a huge deal to me, that I could go that long without dying. And then Season 5, I would run with that and go crazy, but, you know, it was something else. This season had all sorts of jokes. We had the Chris's prickly cactus thing, which was always a running joke. We had the farm tower, which was one of my favorites, but the one build I want to show off while we're here is the courthouse. Honestly, I am still to this day really happy with how this build turned out. I think I could have added a little bit more detail, but for the block choices that were available in Minecraft 1.12 or 1.11 when I built it, I think it turned out actually pretty phenomenal. We had our big continental map here. And then we had, I believe this one was, or is this one even more zoomed out than the other? I don't remember. Or maybe they're identical. I can't remember. Yeah, I think that other one's the backup map. I can't even recall, though it's been too long. But I don't know. The courthouse was super cool. I mean, we had this really awesome meeting hall. Which I do remember hosting I think a singular group meeting in here, and that was at like the height of when the group's tension was so deep. I mean, we were trying to plan out Titancraft Season 5, and it was just not working. I mean, you can also see, though, at the time, the amount of seats I had in this place was, like, completely dramatic and overkill. I mean, we had, what, it looks like 24 actual seats, and we only had, like, 11 Titans, and now that wouldn't fit even near the whole group. Although, I guess the active portion of the group would fit in here. Then if we run upstairs, I do want to show this up because it's kind of cool. We had all of our little office areas. I think at that point, every Titan had a chance to have their own office if they wanted one. Yeah, I had a penthouse. The owner gets a penthouse, you know, that's just how it works. I could have decorated this thing so much better, but I think part of it was limiting the block palette that I didn't have a whole lot of space to work with because everything on the outside had to be quartz. But yeah, that's kind of the rundown of Season 4. So let's move on to probably the most significant season besides the current one.
Hey guys, my name is Titanic, and welcome to the 5th season of Titancraft.
Ah, yes, Titancraft Season 5. Honestly, this is one that going back to always puts a big smile on my face. This season, to this day, competes with Season 10 to be my favorite. Its 250 episode run from June 10th of 2017 to the group's 3rd anniversary in 2018 was a massive success. I mean, by far at the time it was the longest season. It was, in terms of scale, it was the largest season, had the longest series with it. it was a phenomenal season, and it was actually slated to be the last. And that's part of what makes the following seasons kind of an interesting situation that I'll explain as we go through those maps. But Season 5 was our first mega season, though, that we truly pulled off a lot of crazy builds in. And I'll try to show off just a few of them while we are spending a couple of minutes here. One thing is, before Season 10, this by far was my most playtime, and this is my second of 2 mega no-death streaks. My first one was the 25-day I ended willingly, and I said I would never get another one that long, and I died like twice right after that, and then I got the rest of the season without dying and ended up with a 32-day no-death streak. And so that was another accident of Season 5, as my no-death streak addiction was kind of out of control, but that was okay. But this season has a bunch of the classics. I mean, I have my gigantic suspension bridge, I have my gigantic lighthouse, I have the map room, I have my little starter area over there with a movie theater, the original Chikiame is right here, let's see what else we have. We had the little farms that were just super, super cool. The iron farm looms over in the distance. We had the interstate highway. And to this day, I think my favorite spawn house of all of them, my Season 5 house, was super, super cool. I mean, even now there's probably a few things I would like to upgrade on this one, but this was built off an actual IRL building that I found on the internet and I really liked. And so I completely designed it based on that image alone, and it turned out, honestly, really, really nicely. I mean, there was some things I could have done a bit better with, but, this is also where Shelf Cat should be. Where is Shelf Cat? Shelf Cat? Do I have blocks? I don't have blocks. I don't know where Shelf Cat actually is. Well, in the original series, that's where Shelf Cat lived. I guess, well, what am I thinking? Maybe he just went to Season 10, you know? He went with us. Now, there is one other place I would like to show you on this season that I think is significant enough to warrant looking at. So actually, while we're on our way to visit what I want to show you guys, this was the very first season that we really went all out with the Nether Hub design. I mean, we had a small Nether Hub thing on Seasons 3 and 4, but this is the first time I ever did a map floor, and I really liked this, and at the time I was super proud of it, but the cramped feeling of it is something that I just never really liked after it was finished, and so that is why in Season 10 I completely took that old idea and made it way, way better. And I'm super glad that we did that. It was a good choice. Throwing back to the best season, or what was the best season, and making it a lot cooler. So, my Season 5 Mega Base stands as probably my favorite base, although my Season 10 base I think is going to take that over pretty soon. But if we can go through the portal. Season 5's Mega Base, though, is really fun, that I built at the very end of the season. I did a spin-off of Season 1's little nether area. Turned out super cool for how I did it. I went with a rustic feel instead because it was all underground. And this actually was a reused build that I was going to use in my very first single-player Let's Play on this channel called Titanic Plays Minecraft, which in itself was reused from an Xbox playthrough I had. And this base was never finished in any of those runs, and so this is finally when it had its chance to be completed and have a actual place to be shown off, and I'm so happy that I finished it. On the downside is I finished it so late in the season I never got to enjoy it a whole lot. Oh, great, my frame lag. Again, hate that about these old maps. Loading them in new versions is so incredibly laggy. I don't think a lot of people realize how much it hurts when you're not having a server to do the work for you, because now I had to record and run around the map. But here, my game will run okay. It's not gonna run okay, but that's alright. Here's my mega storage room from Season 5. To this day, probably my favorite one. Oh my god. I have not had lag this bad in forever. So we'll get to the middle of it and kind of just stand still. But we have all 16 colors. It's my first and only item sorted storage room. I thought it was really cool, and because at that point I said that it was the final season, I wanted to go all out with it, but in reality, it was overkill. I mean, I never got to use it much anyways, but I prefer having the full customization over my organization strategy, and so I never was super happy with the item sorters because it was incredibly hard to get all the redstone worked out in the water flow, and then, you know, it just was, yeah. So, there's that. That's Titancraft Season 5 for you. And so now we are going to move on to the second half of the group's history.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Titanic, and welcome to Titancraft Season 6. We are live on YouTube. Something very different than what we usually do, isn't it?
Well, welcome to Titancraft Season 6, which was, at the time, a really awkward season, because when you spend a solid year saying you're not going to have another season, and then you have another season, it's strange. And honestly, Season 6 from a PR standpoint was probably actually one of Titancraft's most successful seasons ever, based on the fact that I didn't do a Let's Play of it, I live streamed the entire season. And from that standpoint, it was a massive success. The group began having a fairly significant climb in the Titan count with the introduction of both Dan and Killer into the group, as well as Smite making his first pronounced entrance, as he joined in Season 5 but didn't actually participate much until the launch of Titancraft Season 6. Season 6 launched in August of 2018 and actually ended about a month and a half later. It was, by numbers and by days, it is the shortest season we ever had. Not by Titancraft episodes, but by raw days. And as you can see, there's not much on the season. The season's entire twist was unplanned. I loaded the seed, or not even the seed, I generated a random map on my first live stream, and we loaded up Season 6 for the first time, and the viewers got to see it with us. I got so sick of how much planning went into Season 5 that I wanted to just try something without any outside influence. And honestly, between that, burnout from Season 5, and the disastrous release of Minecraft 1.13, this season was not anything very memorable by any means. And my house right here is probably the only significant contribution I made to the season, and probably the most memorable thing about it. From a statistical standpoint, my playtime was actually pretty decent in it, with 4.3 days, and I actually had a pretty good no death streak, apparently. My total number of deaths was 10 in that short season. And down here you can see that we were playing around with, if I can get down, please. This is when I was playing around with the 1.13 mechanics, trying to figure out how they all work. I have my little auto fisher down here. And so in all, that's all Season 6 really ended up being. It was just a simple kind of a transitional season. We had like a little marketplace down there. Yeah, it was a simple season and not honestly all that memorable, but one I remember quite fondly at this point.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Titanic, and welcome to Titancraft Season 7!
Well, welcome to Titancraft Season 7 here. Honestly, this season is known for being a bad season. If I were to rank the 10 seasons from best to worst, this hands down is my least favorite. I just find Season 7 was underwhelming. My planning into it just did not account for burnouts, and overall, the season fell short. The season lasted from October of 2018 to mid-December, and so it was longer than Season 6, but it was only 5 episodes, of which about half of it was live streamed and half of it was Let's Play content. And in reality, it was a flop. This was a season that Clash made his entrance to the group on the second day, and he had a major settlement over there, but my entire season was basically limited to this little house where I was playing out with the new stripped wood mechanics, but my post-Season 5 burnout and my 1.13 burnout was so dominant that, I never even finished the house. I think I made a video just to finish the roof on this place, just to say it was done enough so I could move on with my life. I mean, did I even have any items in here? No, see, I mean, that's how little we did in Season 7. It was just not memorable at all. I mean, again, statistically, I believe this is by far my least played season. I only had 1.36 days, which by my standards is nothing. I mean, there's no season that game even close to having that poor a playtime. Is there a bed? No, okay, that's fine. But the other thing this season is kind of known for, is its world border was remarkably small. It was the same size as the classic Xbox 360 world, which was 800 and some by 800 and some. But I used 1.12 gen in 1.13 to use customized worlds one last time to use microbiomes, which meant the biome size was the smallest possible, and so the biomes are all super tiny, scattered around the seed, and I was trying to give us a taste of all the biomes in a small area, and if executed right, I think this season could have been a really awesome one, but again, the burnout and the lack of inspiration made it incredibly hard for most of us to play this season, and with the exception of Clash being the new guy who wasn't all burned out of everything, this season just was not what it should have ever been. So that's why Season 7 is very, very poorly remembered.
Hello everyone, my name is Titanic, and welcome back to another season on the Titancraft server. We are officially in Titancraft Season 8.
We arrive now in Titancraft Season 8, which was a massive change in pace from Season 7 as we worked super duper hard to rebound the series and try to pick things up, and so Season 8 was filled with things that were meant to revive the series and the group. The first major thing we did is, after years of talking about doing a mesa settlement, we decided we were going to have Spawn Town in a mesa, which was a massive shift. Number 2, I decided to return to doing Let's Play videos instead of live streaming, and so I went truly back to doing YouTube as a full-time hobby instead of just streaming casually, which is when the series really picked up steam, and so we had a short 20-episode Let's Play on here, but it was something to get the gears turning again. But most notably about Season 8 is that we did Evo on here, and so we began in Minecraft 1.7, and I believe we got all the way to 1.11 or 1.12 before we ended the season. The idea was we were really, really ticked off at 1.13, how bad it made the game run, and how many things we didn't like about it, and so we went back in time, and honestly, it was a flop. Given the season was just plagued by inactivity, after the first month, I took a massive vacation to Hawaii, and I just never had time to really play again. Oh, hi, Wandering Trader. Probably the first Wandering Trader this map has ever had, but, after that point, the season just ran out of energy, and so besides the Clash dies, but it's for an hour meme that came out of this thing, it's not a very memorable season by any stretch of the imagination, but it's definitely a thing that we passed on. I mean, even then, I had the little community center right here. It became known as the homeless shelter, and I just lived here. Yeah, they put a sign on it too. And because the idea was that I put a bunch of storage and chests, I put a bunch of storage and beds here for people, and it became my home, and nobody else ever used it, and so it became the joke that I live in the homeless shelter, and so that's kind of the Season 8 gag. Again, look at playtime again. I'm trying to look through some of the seasons, well, if I remember. I had almost 4 days of playtime, so it wasn't anything crazy, but I don't know. And for a date range, this season started in December of 2018 and ended in June of 2019, just a few weeks before the group turned 4. And so with Season 8, I classify it alongside Seasons 6 and 7 as the lost year of Titancraft, a year of 3 seasons that none of them turned out how they should have. And realistically, starting by mid-Season 6, they realistically were becoming burner seasons to get to the grand Season 10. And so, a lot of the time, I regard these 3 seasons very lowly just because my Season 5 burnout really lasted for that whole year and killed the vibe of all 3 of them. And so that's why they just are not well thought about. I mean, again, Season 7 is my least favorite, and Season 8 takes a pretty close second at this point, and so just not something we can enjoy. But let's look ahead to a season that turned out quite a bit better.
Hey everyone, my name is Titanic, and welcome to Titancraft Season 9. It is here. Titancraft is back. Oh, goodbye, flower.
Welcome to Titancraft Season 9, a season that was all sorts of weird in so many different ways. This season, compared to the previous 3, was a massive upgrade. The group was, at that point, the biggest it ever had been. We had a lot of new blood, a lot of new creativity, and so the server developed at a remarkable pace, although the downfall quickly became evident that the lack of organization meant a spawn town that never ended up looking as pretty as some of the other ones, and despite the spawn here that took me the entire season to build, the season wasn't everything it was cracked out to be. It was meant to be the big hype road to season 10, and instead, at the time, I was suffering from depression very, very badly, and so the season suffered a lot from that, as well as a lot of internal drama within Titancraft. That was the second time the group almost fell apart. And in fact, at one point near the end of the season, I nearly called it quits entirely after a certain event happened, but thankfully, I did pull through after that one, and went on to season 10. Kind of a example of you just gotta persevere through tough times. But season 9 overall, I think, is a season that, from a build standpoint, I remember at least somewhat fondly. I think my only downside is I feel like because of the rut I was in real life, I never was able to go far in the season. I mean, I had an underground village over there. We had my little house there, and then I have my big house up here, which was supposed to be my spawn house. That was my starter house. It was supposed to be my starter house, but it became my season-long project to fill up my giant island I had here. Well, I was pretty happy with how this place turned out at the end of the day. It worked out alright for me. I even have my nice little storage unit over here. But yeah, this season lasted from July 22nd, our 4th anniversary in 2019, through the end of 2019. And it was, again, a decent season at best. For just a lot in the background is what killed it off. I mean, I think had we been in a better mental state and we wouldn't have had so many falling outs with different tie-ins and a lot of stuff out of our control, I think it would have turned out a little bit better for all of us. But as we look back, though, in this season, I did have 13.7 days of playtime, which is one of my higher playtimes for some of the shorter seasons. But again, the season was very mixed, and I think that's why a lot of people choose not to care to remember it very much. But I would say I for sure like it better than 6 through 8 in season 2 as well. So it's probably like maybe my 6th favorite or so. But down here, though, is my underground village. I forgot I just have a lot of unemployed villagers from spawn eggs I got at the end of the season from the Christmas episode, I believe it was. But yeah, this is my little village area. I tried to replicate an actual village underground. I was super happy with how it turned out, actually. It was a project that took me months, and I wanted it to last like a week, but that was just the name of the game in Season 9. Everything taking like 3 times longer than I ever wanted it to. But yeah, that is Titancraft Season 9.
Hey everyone, my name is Titanic, and welcome to Titancraft Season 10! The day has arrived. After 9 seasons, we have finally arrived at the 10th one, the Grand Season X.
So with all of that said and done, we finally arrive here in the 10th season of Titancraft. Titancraft X was planned for a remarkably long time. From late Season 6 all the way into mid-Season 9, I worked on developing a concept for the season. Originally, the idea is that the season would stretch from the beginning of 2020 to the group's 5th anniversary in 2020. And by early Season 9, I realized that for a finale season, that would be just absolutely lame, way too short, and I decided, let's go for a year and a half, which is when I came up with a plan to run from the beginning of 2020 to the group's 6th anniversary today. And I also, at that point, made up my mind, I wanted 1,000 total episodes of the Titancraft series before we call it off for real. And I have done a remarkable job at trying to make that goal, and luckily I didn't miss the goal because I let it die too soon. We're just running a little bit behind, which is why today is not the season finale, but rather just a regular or a special episode of Titancraft Season 10. But we still have 9 episodes to go, and probably about another month worth of Let's Play episodes and finishing stuff up, but here we are on, by far now, the biggest season. In comparison to the seasons that came before it, my playtime on here is remarkable over the last, like, 500 days. And my no-death streak isn't very significant now, but in this season I did have a 50-day no-death streak before I willingly ended that one to a bed in the nether. The builds on this season are just absolutely phenomenal. They completely blow out of the water anything we've ever done before this season. Although, quite interestingly, at the midpoint of the season, the server was actually quite hollow. There was a remarkably little number of builds. I can't speak at all right now. And a lot of things just were not even close to completion at all. But obviously our spawn area here is just absolutely phenomenal that we finished up during the 24-hour marathon in June. And I'll go check out my starter base too. I mean, a lot of this season has been me taking old ideas and trying to make them better and make everything feel at home. I mean, this is a tiny version of the Season 5 suspension bridge. Chick Ya May got to come back in a whole new life this season. Season 3's house got to get a whole big reskin and upgrade as we dive deep into it. I mean, for those of you that have watched the series before, all this is super familiar. I guess if you're new, then none of the Season 10 stuff is any surprise anyways. But, I mean, my storage room and stuff is down that way with my strider. Let's see, actually, we'll peek down there. I mean, if you look at how I've done the storage even here, I mean, I tried so much harder to just make it look aesthetically pleasing as opposed to just a big flat wall in Season 2. I mean, it's a big upgrade, and that's why Season 10 probably is now my favorite season. It's tight with Season 5, I think because Season 5 I didn't quite have so many traumatic things going on in my personal life, and I mean, the whole pandemic thing that started literally right after Season 10 did, has been a heavy hitter to the season, but it's been a cool one. I mean, I have all sorts of cute little builds in this place, my starter house. And we have my house on the lake and my little sign to celebrate 50 days since last death. And why are the lights shut off? I just realized somebody shut my lights off. Unless something broke them. Gotta turn this thing back on. Gotta celebrate. Not 50 years, but 50 days of no death streak. I don't think there's gonna be an episode celebrating 50 years of this group. If there is, oh my god, that'll be insane. I'll be in my 60s. But yeah, I think the last thing I do want to show off is where my mega base takes me now, because it's... Well, let's see, hi Ghost. I want to show off where this season ended up taking me, because it's a true sign of the times of how I have advanced in the last 6 years, and gotten a lot better at playing the game and building in the game. And I guess that kind of shows my general maturity. I mean, the Season 10 Nether Hub here is a remarkably big jump from Season 5. It's 4 times the area, and it's a lot taller. We have a glass floor, so it's mob-proof, and you have more room to see the map. I mean, just turned out way cooler, and this is the wrong way. Or actually, here's our stronghold tunnel, though, if you're curious. It looks cool. And Farmtown, you might have saw there out of the corner of your eyes. Which is, I think, probably one of the few builds from this season that I wish would have turned out a little bit better. I felt like Farmtown never quite got the love it deserved when I was hoping to give it a revival after so long, but you can only do what you can do. I mean, people just lacked interest in it. People wanted to make personal farms, not community farms, for the majority of the season, and only half-efforted farms ever showed up there. And that was kind of the downside, but if we go down here, we can see where my final base of the series is at, and the massive step forward it is from the previous seasons, having all these microdomes. And there's still a lot to come in here, including a bunch of references to some of the previous seasons we've mentioned today, and obviously a mega storage room that will be very, very reminiscent of Season 5's. I do want to just take a step outside, though, just to show off how cool the base does look. I just gotta let goes on recording right now. Everything's cool. But yeah. This is the mega base in its near the finished glory from the upper side of things, and I'm super happy with how it's turned out. But again, I think it's pretty obvious my building skills have gone up a ton since 2015, and so I'm super proud of how this place is turning out. I can't wait to show it off in its finalized state in just a few months. But yeah, I want to thank everybody for the support throughout these last 6 years. Honestly, it's meant a ton to me, and it's something that I'm going to be ever grateful for. There's been quite a few points in this series that I didn't think we'd make it this far, and while I do wish that today could have been the finale so I could move on to the next chapter, I think giving Season 10 the ending it deserves is definitely the right move. And so over the next couple of weeks, expect to see about 2 Titancraft Season 10 episodes each week as we slowly crawl towards the finish line. I'm aiming for a mid-late August finale at this point based on how things are going, and hopefully I can stick to that and accomplish that. Although now that we're past the anniversary ending date, we kind of have a bit more flexibility in deciding all of that. But again, thank you for helping us through these last 10 seasons and joining us, whether you have been here throughout the entire way or you just joined us quite recently, and whether you're a Titan or a viewer, I appreciate it. I mean, we've had, I believe, 130 some official Titans over the last 6 years, 37 of which right now are actually in the group. And so we've had a large cast of people that we've seen. Some just made very minor appearances or none at all, and others made massive presences here, and some went out with a bang, and it's been a wild ride in the world of Minecraft SMPs. But sincerely, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It means the world. And I say this every time we have a video like this, but I feel like every time I say it, it's more authentic than the previous, because I couldn't do it without all the people that support me every day. And so, thank you. Obviously, I know this series isn't going to last too much longer. Titancraft has a big future after Season 10, and I plan on talking about that a lot in the weeks that follow the season finale. But for the Vanilla Minecraft series, only 9 episodes to go, baby. So buckle up, get ready. Thank you for joining us this far, and I absolutely can't wait to finish the series with all of you by my side. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's little special, and I'll see you guys again very soon for another episode of Titancraft Season 10. So on that note, have yourselves a great day. This has been Titanic, and I will see you guys in the next episode of Titancraft Season 10. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out. Bye-bye.